Rasool's reappointment to the job he first held between 2010 and 2015 couldn't come soon enough.
Welcome.
A bilateral relationship under pressure, in the main over foreign policy disagreements between Pretoria and Washington.
It's going to be one of the most difficult assignments that I've had to accept on behalf of South Africa. The first time I came here, it was under President Obama. It was a language of solidarity. I think coming back now with President Trump, there's lots of uncertainty, but I do think that the interests of South Africa remain abiding. And we're going to have to pursue those interests, like our economic interests, like our socio-political interests. But I think we're doing it under enormously changed circumstances. So I would be lying if I did not admit to some nervousness about the assignment that awaits me.
The Republican-controlled House of Representatives passed legislation to review the bilateral relationship between South Africa and the US over concerns that Pretoria's foreign policy positions and relationships posed a threat to US national security interests. The new chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Jim Risch, sought in 2023 to introduce legislation to move the AGOA forum from South Africa over its closeness to Russia and its lack of condemnation of Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. Additionally, the docking of a US-sanctioned Russian ship in Simonstown, and more recently South Africa's posture against Israel, a close ally of the US, while pursuing ties with Iran and its proxies including Hamas, that the US has designated a terrorist organization. A Republican trifecta now looming in Washington, with their control of the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives.
The question then becomes, how do you then prove or make the case that the relationship, the close relationship that South Africa has with Russia, be that through military exercises, be that within the BRICS collective, its relationship with countries like China and Iran, does not impugn the national security interests of the United States?
Look, I think that people need to understand that this relationship that they perceive to be close to Russia is not such a one. We are members of BRICS. I think, secondly, Russia contributes less than 2% to our trade and therefore is not a major interest to us. But I think that what we need to understand is that we need to present South Africa's case as integral to the African case. And therefore, South Africa becomes the manufacturing hub of what is African products as a whole. So we've got to make that case. But we don't only have to make that case politically and economically to Congress and to Senate. We also need to make it to those who have a direct interest in the South African economy, who invest in South Africa, who trade with South Africa. And we've also got to make sure that we are reciprocal in our relationship.
Rasool also argues that there is actually greater alignment between South Africa's foreign policy positions and that of the incoming Trump administration.
What I think is happening is a surprising, if from different angles, a surprising convergence between South Africa's desire to end wars and conflict and the Trump administration's desire to end wars and conflicts. I think that people are more worried that the ending of the conflict in Russia-Ukraine, the ending of the conflict in Palestine-Israel will be unfair rather than a continued conflict. The previous or the current administration was set on winning those conflicts. I think the incoming one may be more focused on ending those conflicts, and that's where the convergence is with South Africa's position of ending the conflicts. We may debate about the fairness of ending the conflicts, but we do not debate the need to end the conflicts. And so I think that what was wisdom a few months ago may not be the wisdom of the contemporary incoming period that we are facing.
He bristled at the notion that South Africa was coming to the US cap in hand, arguing rather that there was a deal to be made.
South Africa comes here on the back foot, but not cap in hand. I think at the end of the day, as I told an audience on Friday, I said to that audience, I'm reminded of the song by Cosby, Stills and Nash. If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with. And the point that I'm making is that we would want this relationship with the United States. We do want to have the presidency of the G20 this year and hand it over intact and enhanced to President Trump at the end of December. We do want to have a mutuality in our relationship with the United. We are coming here to make a deal, not to beg, not to plead.
Key to his success will be South Africa maintaining its preferential status within the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, which comes up for congressional review and reauthorization before its expiration this September. Shervin Brycepease, SABC News, New York.